Hey guys, Tim from Halo here. Today we're looking at the billing. Let's jump in. So, looking at the system, if I go into here and into the service desk, and then jump into a ticket, for example, this is a ticket in Halo. So you can see over here, we have the summary, and then we have all the different actions that fall underneath in this example. And if I scroll down, you can see the actual first action that occurs, which is this guy. So when the ticket would arrive into the system and you pick it up, it'll look a little something like this. So up here we have the summary, down here we have the body of the email that arrives, and any rich text as well. One of the first bits of code that runs in Halo is that we'll do a direct match against the email address, and then we'll match it against the customer. And when we match, we'll know who they are, where they're based, their SLA, their contract, their similar open tickets, and then any assets that appear from the RMM. You can jump onto here and click connect, and you can jump straight onto that endpoint if you wanted to. Pretty handy indeed. The two actions that you care about at the top of the screen is this guy, the ability to email user. So I can go out here and be like, hello, thanks for getting in touch. Whatever you normally say. And you can see over here, top right of the screen, we have the viewing timer, and down here we have the doing timer. These are both available in the trial. They are connected, and you can choose which one you want to use. From all the different teams that I've worked with over the years, most teams will use the viewing timer as a timer they would use to calculate their billing. So if I click stop, this guy will stop. If I click resume, it shall resume, and I can click restart and it will restart if I wanted to. Over here, I can type over this and say sort of 15, for example, for 15 minutes. I can click, you see the little clock has grayed out to say it's no longer active. I can click it once again and you'll see it will start counting once more. So how Halo is designed, because you can emulate other PSA experiences if you want to select the agreement up front, but for me, in my opinion, and how Halo is set up out the box, is that requires your technicians to know the granular detail of your customer agreements to be able to make those sorts of judgments. Where in Halo, we like to have the ability that when you create a brand new ticket or when a ticket arrives or you push it through a triage step, you have the ability to select from a category dropdown, which is available to 3 different levels, to say what sort of job this is. You can select this manually. There's some more high-end automation available to be able to automate this using your old closed ticket history. Go and see some of the videos we've done around AI and service delivery to understand more about that. But you can also see here, top right, a non-mandatory field is that if the technician just has happened to know which agreement is included here, they can select this from the drop-down. So up front, new job comes in, we know who it is, and we know we can then say what sort of category it falls under to say what sort of work this is. So if you support hardware but not software, or application A but not B, you can basically capture this up front. Jumping back into the ticket, so now we have that triage ticket and we're now doing actions on this. You can see here we're capturing this time once again. One thing I would note as well is that the combination of how Halo can handle this is pretty mature at this stage. So if you have a job that arrives into your service desk and it's a covered job, but for whatever reason you get called out on site, you can capture that at the action level here, as you can see, with like on-site support. So they can get a surcharge if they are called out on site, even though it's a covered job. So just to continue on with our example, I'm going to add in a public note. Let's do a private note, in fact, and let's say like, you can collaborate with your colleagues, and we can say, working on it, doing something. And I'm going to update this to say, 15 minutes, and I'm going to say it was remote support. Clicking save, we've now captured that information. Here is my very elegant comment I've made on this ticket. And you can see here there's a number of these actions, and this will include a back and forth between me and the client, including internal notes, and there are filters here to go and see all this if you wanted to, including a very handy time entries piece as well. So if I scroll down, you can see there are some actions where the time taken is different to the build time. So we do count both separately. So if I scroll down on the right-hand side of the screen, in this particular ticket, we have 4 hours and 26 minutes which is effort from our side going into the job. So that's technician's time that has been recorded. And underneath here, we have the billable time, which is currently 5 hours and 5 minutes. So for timesheets and profitability, it's always accurate. And then for what we're charging the client or what's going against the contract will be covered over here on the right as well. So with all that said, how do we turn these guys into billable line items? Let's go back to the home screen, to config, to billing, to charge types. There are 5 that come out the box. You can obviously create your own. I've seen teams create this per like senior or junior resource. I see people do this per person in some scenarios where you can account for their opportunity cost or salaried cost of the business. Lots of options here. But with the out-of-box 30-day free trial from the website that I have on screen, we get 5 as a starting point. So let's jump into remote support and let's click edit on this guy. Over here, I can add in my own rates. Pretty cool. So let's say we are charging, I don't know, 150 an hour for ad hoc T&M remote support. I can also go down to here and say, like, if we get a 3-minute job that comes in, email in, over here, sir, click save, close. Instead of charging them 3 minutes, we can have a mandatory minimum of 15 minutes if we wanted to. And then down here, increments, we can make this 15 again. So a ticket will go 15, 30, 45, 1 hour when it appears on an invoice to the client. And we also have the choice as well to round it up or round it down accordingly. Down here, pretty fancy. Against the SLA, you can set up your technician's workday. So if they are working 9 to 5, any time outside of those hours, so if they're working at 3 a.m. or 7 p.m. at night, it can be 1.5 times your rate. Down here, if it's a Saturday, it can be 1.5 times again. And if it's Christmas Day and someone's dragging you away from the Christmas table, it can be double rate once again. When I click submit as well, I can also check an override date. So if you're, actually that's a good point to mention, if you do have incremental increases in your charge types over time as inflation increases or as things change in your business, you can actually apply a new start rate and it will update the previous one at a specific date, so it's always accurate. But that's how you set up a global charge rate. This is just a catch-all for everything globally that happens. For anything that falls outside of contract, pay-as-you-go, T&M, it would fall into this bracket. You can also set up charge rates per agreement, per contract, as well as per customer as well. So that's the charge rate stuff. And then the agreements are all found underneath the contract agreement module. This is a single list for all the contracts against your customers. You can also find this in the customer list. So if you're looking for agreements per client quite easily, you can just jump into this space, scroll across, grab agreements, and here they all are. For example, this one's got quite a lot of agreements. Another example would be over here, like this guy, and you can see quite easily how many they have, what are the recurring line items, all just through the customer screen, which is what I typically see. If I jump into this agreement, this is what a contract looks like. Check it out. So in the middle, the most important one I see, I'll open up to full screen for us over here, is the billing rules. Pretty handy. So when I click add, I have the ability to decide what's included in the contract and what isn't. So when I scroll on down, I can say, okay, anything that is remote will be covered. So when I work with different MSPs over the years, if they are working on a job remotely, typically it will be covered as part of the contract if it's done remotely. If you are called out on site for whatever reason, it can incur a different charge. So we'll add that on. If it's on the screen, it's covered. If it's not, it's pay as you go. The same with category earlier. So when we're looking at sort of triage, you saw that 3-tier category field. So in here, you can choose what's covered and what isn't as part of the agreements. If it's on the screen, click save, and then basically just add it on. You can also, once you set this up to your liking, you're able to clone this and apply it to a different client as well. So if you have quite granular, particular things which is covered and which isn't covered as part of an agreement, you'll be able to set these up accordingly. And then here on the right-hand side, you can also set this up where you can have gold, silver, bronze packages. You can decide how often they're billed. So if you are doing a sort of a pot of time, like 20 hours a month or something, you can add that in over here on the right. So as you add actions and time against an agreement per month, it will come out of this pot of 20 agreed with the client, If it reaches 0, it will roll over to pay-as-you-go, stuff like that. And if it's all you can eat, just click unlimited. Moving across, the assets one's quite nice. So over here, I'll be able to add onto this list the assets that are covered as part of the agreement and which ones aren't. This can be populated from the RMM, which come via an integration like Ninja or Enable. And if it's on this list, it's covered. If it's not covered. And this can be dynamically updated via a third-party tool, even like the RMM, to always adjust what is being discovered and what's covered under the agreement. Over here as well, on the users, most popular I'm seeing today is MSPs are charging per user, typically using Office 365 licenses to make that judgment. And you can hook up Microsoft CSP and Entra ID to Halo and populate this space. So you add these, this can be added manually, this can be added via a third-party tool. If they're on the list, they're covered, basically. So long story short, in all of this so far, if you're charging per user, per asset, a hybrid, or flat rate, you can reflect that arrangement in this space. The real money of this area is found in the recurring invoices tab. This guy is the actual line items that appear on your invoices going to the clients at the end of the month. So over here, you see we have an example of a flat rate charge for your services for the month. And we also have examples as well of sort of like your Office 365 licenses on top of this. When you hook up a disti integration like PAX8, Ingram, TD Synnex, this can be automatic, along with wider subscriptions that you also might resell, such as Acronis, Huntress, ThreatLocker, Bitdefender, allowing you to fully automate license subscription billing, which is very advantageous if you haven't got that today. In my mileage from doing working with teams over the years, that will save you from a few hours to a few days a month, depending on the scenario. But jumping into this, if I click edit and edit once again, you can see these in here. I have the ability to adjust these. So this is the short description. This is the long description that will appear on the invoice. I can adjust the quantity, the price, the tax, the discount. And there's also the ability as well to link these, if I wanted to different metrics. So I can have it like come from a disti license count that we've hooked up to the system, for example, and just add this in if I'd like. So that's how you can like hook up PAX8, for example, into Halo, bring through your customers' subscriptions that they have, and then link it to a line item in the agreement, which is very cool to fully automate your subscription billing. Jumping back a second. So that's how you can play around with that look and feel. Over here on the right, you can see invoices that have been sent previously. You can see the history of what's been sent and what's been used. So if you're an account manager working with a client as part of a catch-up, you can jump into this space and see how many hours out of the month they've used over the period. So if they want to renegotiate or whatever it may be, you can use this as a data point to understand if you should be increasing their pricing or lowering it, for example. Documents over here, you can just drag and drop stuff off your home screen onto the screen. So with this Documents tab, you can go to your home screen and just drop stuff onto the screen if you wanted to. Typically, a copy of the contract that's been agreed or signed. In this example today, a picture of my face. Enjoy. In the Schedule area over here on this tab, this is a very handy piece where you can book in like catch-up calls, or if you've agreed with the client you're going to go on site one day a month, you can go into this area over here and you can basically say if it's like a catch-up or if it's a visit or if it's a particular job you need to do. You can say who from your team is going to get it. And then because we have a two-way integration with Outlook calendars using the Graph API, you can actually just go into this space and you can just send out from Halo to the client every single appointment attached to this agreement. And then 2 days before the appointment comes round, it will create the ticket in Halo in the appropriate queue with the appointment attached from Outlook with the customer on that appointment. Or if it's internal only, it can be internal only. And then the technician can pick up that job, note down anything they need to note down, close it off when it's done. And that creates a really nice audit history of all the jobs you've done for the client, which is part of this agreement, which is nicely structured and very easy to demonstrate what you've done for the customer. So that's the whole sort of kind of pay-as-you-go piece and the managed service contracts. Hopefully that's clear so far. And then when it comes to the invoicing step, this is where you can basically go through like an approve and post moment as well. Typically, Halo is hooked up, I'd probably say 99% of the time, will be hooked up to a billing integration of your choice. So whether this be Xero, QuickBooks, Dynamics, Sage, NetSuite, all are available. If I just use this example over here and turn this on, when I open this guy up on screen, you can see very easily what's connected and how it all works in Halo. So I just connect now. That'll take me to the login screen. In this example, Xero, where I just log into Xero and it'll make the connection between the two. This will bring across your tax rates, customers, products, suppliers from Xero into Halo. You can clean this up before you connect it to Halo if you wanted to. And then basically it means that we bring all that data from Xero into Halo. When it all goes back out at the end of the month, it all lines up. So it's always accurate. And then against a customer, you can see in here, if I grab like Acorn Construction and then click the billing tab, you can see what tenant it's connected to, what customer ID it has, and these are editable and it's a two-way sync and you can see it from here. So that's how you can connect like Xero or another accountancy package to Halo to make that link. Also with products that you sell, it's found in the products tab. So if I grab like, I don't know, a laptop over here in the billing tab, you'll see there's the same information once again. So you can link up product IDs, customer IDs. This is how the data flows from one area into the other. So with all that said, when it's time to do your invoice run at the end of the month, go to Invoices, scroll down here, you have the awaiting review space. If you haven't got this turned on today and you'd like to have this step, you can go to the homepage, configuration, you can go to billing, general settings, and I think it's under charge type, here it is, and you just turn on this setting over here called enable ticket review processing. And then when I go back to this area once more, this space will be available and I'll have a big list of all the different actions that have happened throughout the billing period. So if a technician has accidentally added on an extra Xero to a particular action, you can catch it before it goes to the customer. When the screen is cleared, you've done all your work, and then you can click on the ready to invoice stage. And this is a single screen that shows everything that's about to come out to the clients this month from Halo. So just to go through top left to right, recurring invoices, these are your managed service contracts. You can open these up and look inside. Proration, so as your customers are adjusting Office 365 licenses, as they're adjusting subscriptions from disties, when that's automated or if you're manually adjusting that, it will appear top right on the screen over here. The labor, ad hoc, T&M, pay-as-you-go time, that's on this side. Items issued, if you're going on site and you're issuing product to a customer as part of a job, it will appear on the right. So just an example how that would work, if I go to like a ticket and then I go to over here, click on this ellipsis and then go down to issue product, I can bring up my product menu and add like a HDMI cable in, click one, click add, even link it to an asset. Pretty fancy. So I can, on the tablet, on my phone, on a desktop, I can add stuff in, connect it. I've done this before in this example, but you'll be able to ad hoc, add product onto jobs, and then it will queue it here, be billed when the ticket's closed, or you can bill on open tickets if you wanted to. Scrolling down further, projects, you can guess what that one is. Sales orders, anything that you've sold via the quoting system or anything that you've raised via sales order will appear here on the right to be billed. Prepay, global prepay, and then any expenses that can be captured as part of delivering jobs and projects. So with that said, you can filter per client, you can filter per account manager or owner, you can select individual line items, you can do whole categories. What most teams that I've seen recently do is they'll just go into here, select everything, create invoice, choose your invoice date, click save, and off we go. At this stage, we'll start crunching all the numbers for you. And we do something called aggregation as well. So if your customer has purchased 20 different things from you this month, we're not going to send them 20 separate invoices with separate line items, we'll compile that down into a single invoice for them. And then there are a couple options here, depending on the integration and what you want to do. Most teams, and what my personal suggestion is when I work with teams, is I will ask them to send the invoice from Halo directly. You have total control over the email address it sends from, the subject line, the body, and you can have like nice hot links that go to the portal that shows them the invoice and any reporting to demonstrate value, which is quite nice. You can also have total custom HTML ownership over the invoice that sends. And just to show you what that looks like in Halo, if I go to config, billing, general settings, PDF, and scroll on down, here it is. You can create different templates for different customers. And in here, which is what's quite fancy, is you're able to see firstly how it comes out the box, and you can edit this to your heart's content. You can make it many pages long. You can add in your own colors, fonts, logos, backgrounds, designs. But this is what you get out of the system straight away. And then from here, if I scroll down and go to reports, what's really good with Halo is you can add on reports from the reporting suite literally onto the document that you're sending from the system. So something that I've seen where if you're a really good MSP and your customer doesn't typically hear from you because there's no issues to report, let's say, they might start wondering what you're doing. So what you can do is you can actually add reports onto the invoice, literally where the numbers are that you're asking them to pay, and you'll be able to add in visuals, graphics that you can create and design, or just show what you're doing for the client, automations, other things, to demonstrate value to the customer, especially to the people who are paying the bill, which is obviously very advantageous. Over here, there's the ability to edit all the appearance, the table contents of how you want it to look and feel, and you can create your own. And then over here on the right, there's the ability to edit this, and then there is a rich text builder as well as full custom HTML. And there's a whole onboarding process, of course, where we work with you to set all this up to reflect your business and make it work. So it's a very seamless process day one, I guess is what I'm saying. So with all that said, if I go back to the invoicing area, so you can send it from Halo directly is option 1. Basically we take all the numbers that we've crunched, we pass it over into like Xero to create a record, and then when it gets marked as paid from like either manually or from a payment gateway, it'll mark it as paid back in Halo. It's a two-way dynamic sync. Option 2 is we can actually take these records we've created, all the crunching of the data, and just pass it straight over into like another billing accountancy package, and just create a bunch of draft status invoices in that tool. And you can, after this is done, you can go into there, have your sanity check, click send if you'd like to as well. So a couple options are there for you. Also, you can see at the bottom of the screen we have this loading bar. So down here, I can actually navigate away and start working on other things. So I haven't got to sit there and watch my entire billing run go out, which might not be the most fun thing to do. And then when I'm done, I come back to this guy, click closed, and that was the entire process, start to finish. So guys, that was start to finish billing in Halo. Hopefully you found that really useful. If there's any questions, please get in touch. And the next session, we're going to dig into a little bit of the implementation and how that transition looks from your current PSA into Halo today.